Morning, everybody. Welcome back. Kevin from Watch This with Joe and Kevin with, I believe, episode 6 of For All Mankind. Okay, so um, NASA is on Mars, and I'm assuming that Phoenix is closely going to be on their heels. Um, and a lot's going to go wrong because a lot still is. The characters who are standing out right now as being the problem characters that I think are inevitably going to get people hurt or killed. One is going to be the Russian, or the Soviet uh, commanding cosmonaut. And it's not even about his weird decision to try to sneak out and be the first person on Mars off of an American ship that rescued him, but that takes some brass ones right there. But his bad, aggressive decision making without thinking about things like consequences has already resulted in one disaster and three dead people. Um, and it's very clear he didn't learn any humility from that lesson. So I think he's going to get people hurt or killed still. I mean, this is For All Mankind. There's no way the rest of this season unfolds without more catastrophe and death. That's just what happens on this show, um, in ways that really work. By the way, that's not a criticism. This is a dangerous thing that everyone's undertaking. The other character, resoundingly in his villain arc, is Danny. I was trying to empathize with him a little bit over the week while I was thinking about it. I mean, he really did go through something profound, right? His, let's say, fling with Karen um, coincided really closely with the death of his parents. So I'm sure he's got some very confused, muddled, emotional, psychological trauma kind of all bound together there. Then it's manifesting itself weirdly. I get all of that. But at the same time, in the world of the show, it's been 10 years, man. You've had time to get the help that you need from anybody, or just the passage of time and perspective for it to help. As weird as it was, and as much as I didn't like it, and I think I'm not alone in that, you've had time to get past it. It was ultimately a one night stand that is still wrecking your life and your psychology a decade later. A consensual one night stand. This wasn't even like an assault thing, which I would totally understand trauma from that. But this was not a traumatic experience. The death of his parents certainly were. Um, but get over it, man. It was one night. I don't think Karen should have done it. I think it was a crappy thing to do to a confused kid, sure. But my God, man, you've got a wife. You've had a decade. You've gone to school. You've gone through psychological testing. Get over it at some point. He is spiraling in a really weird way, and I think he's going to get people killed. There's a real chance I feel like that Ed's going to find himself in danger at some point in the show, and Danny's going to have to make a choice whether to save him or let him die because he really wants the guy's ex-wife. We'll see. I mean, that may not happen, but there's a chance, much like the Soviet commander, that Danny's going to get somebody killed um, for his own selfish, in his head reasons. Danielle was right. Oh, the guy should have stayed at home. He has no business being in such a high pressure, dangerous situation where a lot of people's lives are at risk. Anyway, I'll go ahead and jump into it now because we ended on that very beautifully comic note of Danny tackling the Soviet commander on their way to the surface of Mars, and I'm on her side. I want to go ahead and thank all of our Patreon subscribers for being here with us, and I'd like to give a special shout out to Actuarial Lurker, Balash Foldes, Chris, Derek Peterson, Jeff, Christy, NJ, Richard Wilkinson, Suya Gundavarapu, Torgar Lingstad, Weird Magic, and Wear Panda 47. Thanks a lot, guys. Really glad you're here with us. If you would like to see a full length reaction to this and everything else we watched or are currently watching, please check out a link in the description below to our Patreon page on every show, including For All Mankind. We're at least 4 episodes ahead on Patreon of where we are on YouTube. So if you get done watching the YouTube edits, would like to continue, you can do it on our Patreon page. You will have to sync and watch along on your own source material. You will only see us for copyright purposes. I'm assuming because of its size that Helios probably just brought everything with them they need. Just a much larger ship. We have so many astronauts and cosmonauts that really haven't established themselves as personalities that I feel like are a little red shirty a little bit. Like, we're still going to lose some of these people. And of course, being this show, probably some central characters as well.
So it pulled up.
Just curious how he made it through the psychological screening that they go through, because I'm sure it's pretty intense. Especially, well, maybe Helios didn't do it last minute.
One of my old Polaris contacts from Roscosmos reached out. Lenara Katish. She wants a meeting with Helios. I want an office. A real one. With a door.
He's kind of megalomaniacal, so I'm glad she's there.
Human beings are always going to want to see.
Being one of the first people. La Habana es. Es como. Un fantasma.
This guy seems to be enjoying it the most, and I really like that. I like this as a way to kind of get to meet some of the more minor characters this season.
Back then, especially in the neighborhood I grew up in, you just didn't tell people you were gay.
Okay. So this is definitely a change, like, he's out and it's okay, compared to last season, you know, when...
In his 6th year with NASA, has just announced
Oh,
that he is a homosexual.
Oh,
In a
God.
statement, the
never mind. I take back what I was just saying about how it was okay.
What the fuck was he thinking?
Can't
Never mind.
be happening.
3 weeks.
I was giving him credit.
Graham made a statement calling for Tyler's discharge. And even Lieberman is saying if we don't change the policy, we're cowards.
Well, this is about the time that Don't Ask, Don't Tell became the thing, which was still weak legislation, but it was or weak rule change, but it was a start.
You don't just blurt it out on national TV like you're on Sally Jesse Raphael.
You have no idea what it's like to live with a secret like this your entire life.
There was, they both have good points here, really. Yeah, he is living in a crappy world, but at the same time, he did really kind of hijack this mission to make it a lot about himself. She's not wrong about that. Just sucks that he has to hide it. And that people are so stupid about it.
If we have been exposed to the immunodeficiency virus up here, our chances of survival would be significantly less than on Earth.
Is 95, do they still not know how HIV was spread in 95? I assume by 95 we'd figure this out. It's like 15 years into the problem. Yeah, man, try to remember you have a wife and kid, you freak. I'm sorry, that's harsh, but my God. He's out of the pain pills? He got a pill addiction now to go along with everything else wrong with him? I feel like their relationship is going to end up saving the day somehow. Like they're the closest thing to a team between the two sides.
Sweetheart, darling, just my rifle, Odie, and me.
I like this frontier music for this. It really makes a lot of sense.
I don't think he's cut out for this.
Oh no, punching out the screen is definitely gonna make that a different assessment. Way to prove him wrong.
Prohibiting military personnel from attempting to discover the sexual orientation of any other service member. The order will also prohibit any gay members of the United States Armed Forces from disclosing their sexual orientation, and it will forbid openly gay persons from serving in the military.
That's what a soft half measure that was, huh? It's so frustrating how stupid this whole issue is.
California Representative Barbara Boxer expressed her disapproval.
Sorry I'm late.
Have we seen these guys before? I don't recognize them.
The worst part is, he actually sounded like he thinks it's a good idea. Of course he does. I bet you $1 million it was his idea.
Well, because he's been dating other guys for so often.
I know you're having fun with the guy, but he's married to the most powerful woman in the world. I don't know what you thought was happening. Are you crazy?
Has he done in the Oval yet?
No.
That's a thing that's going to come out now. That's one storyline I thought would never come out.
Hey, you are not going to believe what I just heard from Jeremy Zilke. Are you around?
Yeah, this is going to get really ugly for Ellen, isn't it? I mean, it feels like something you can just deny as a rumor, but I mean, I'm I'm living in 2024 right now and not life, right? So I mean, people can make up all kinds of stories and do, bless the internet. Um, I'm not sure how a rumor like that would be taken. Sort of free everybody having access to all the misinformation in the world. So I guess we'll see how that all washes out. I want to know what Danny's next move is, because he's not only slipping farther, but it looks like he's developing a real addiction to painkillers, opiates. So I see some tragic things happening for Danny or other people around him. I think Danny's villain arc is only going to continue to get worse. I think the Soviet commander's villain arc is only going to continue to get worse. The mistrust between NASA and Helios is going to get worse. The rift between Danny and Ed. I don't know how it's going to play with Kelly going along with all of it. I think it's a good idea, honestly. They're using NASA equipment to go do this while keeping NASA completely in the dark, which is a weird thing that everyone's kind of agreed to. I guess the power that Margot has is kind of going to make that happen. But I think Kelly going along is actually a really good thing for NASA. Like, you have a NASA representative there. The question is, to what extent does the Soviet Union and Helios go along with it? Now that the cat's kind of out of the bag, though, now that NASA knows exactly what the Soviets and Helios are up to, I think maybe all of the Cloak and Dagger clandestine stuff, might just kind of be out in the open. But you know what? The Soviets and the Helios agreeing to split the water 50-50 while leaving NASA completely out of it, while the Soviets are using NASA's equipment to carry this out with NASA's approval. That's going to get ugly. I mean, I feel like the fight among everybody in the Mars base at the end of the episode is just kind of indicative of what's going to be happening on Earth as well. This is a poop storm that goes way beyond Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Obviously, Ellen is about to find herself embroiled in something of her own. But I mean, let's face it, the should gays be allowed to serve in the military, moral proselytizing against it was dumb anyway. Obviously in 2024, even the Joint Chiefs were like, this was all stupid to begin with. The military, the military had done plenty of their own research before agreeing that this is a policy that needed to end. And so it did, and the world didn't end. The military didn't fall apart, as is usually the case when people make bad faith slippery slope arguments. So the only reason I'm even bringing it up is it's just so silly that in our world was indeed a very real large issue, while there's actual real non-culture war serious issues going on. But we had this dumb distracting thing of like, is the world ending because there's a gay guy on a NASA mission? It's stupid and sad, but also, let's face it, historically accurate, at least as much as you can be on this show. And I'm kind of curious how all this is going to manifest itself, while at the same time, Ellen has bigger fish to fry other than, is my husband gay, in terms of dealing with, a very serious growing problem with the Soviet Union and with Helios. We'll see. I also think Margot is not out of the woods as far as being in trouble, and I think Alita, who I think is a wonderful character and absolutely one of the many people to completely root for on this show, is on a mission for the truth to kind of come to light and for the right thing to be done. I've loved her since episode 1 of season 1. I think she's a great character, and literally nothing has happened yet to change my mind about her. I think she's awesome. I think she's going to be a big catalyst for a lot of the Cloak and Dagger stuff to get sorted out, because she just isn't playing when it comes to all that. And I think it's great fun. I'll catch you in the next one, guys. Thank you very much.